What's up, everybody? I'm Ethan with Fight Me on This.
I'm Jill at CoachJill.April. Welcome back to the pod.
Cast. Fuck. Jesus Christ.
We're happy you're here
Yep, farting rainbows on the podcast.
on the pod.
You know what my heart is? Doing a podcast with someone who calls it a pod.
If that's your heart.
It's not, no, that's dumb. It's not a pod. Pods are things you get in, hide in, be in, fly in, flee to safety in. This is not one of those. People can't go fucking anywhere in this. Maybe to hell. Because if you laugh at some of these jokes, you're going. If you laugh at some of these jokes, you're already going.
Well,
but I'm driving the bus, so like at least there's good company.
People might escape to our podcast.
Escape to the podcast, not use it like a pod to escape a ship that's going to explode.
Okay, I understand.
That's why it's called a podcast, because it gets listen.
Welcome back.
Hi. I want to be here today.
He does want to be here. He wants to hang out with you and he wants to talk all about our life. Yeah. I promise. What are we talking about? Oh, we're going back to talking about being poly this week because I had a few really good questions come through on my question boxes.
Yeah, and last week we kind of introduced you into how we got into fitness, each as individuals, as coaches, as the things. And so we're going to kind of pivot and give you a little bit more information about us, answer a couple of questions that we got, and keep going back and forth. Every episode is going to kind of have a topic, something different that we do, that we participate in. And today, we're going to jump into a little bit of the polyamorous side of our life and some of the cool questions, the good questions that we've got, some of the stupid questions that we've got. I don't know whoever said that there isn't a stupid question. There's a couple of stupid questions in here. There's fucking rude questions in here. There's toxic questions in here. There's people who are pieces of shit asking questions in here. And that's what this life is. That's why we do it. We can take it. We can handle it. But there are moments that we talk shit about your questions. Don't get it twisted. If they don't come through with it. No. I'm just going to say it. If they don't come through with any thought, with any care, any intention, if you're just being a piece of shit, I promise, I really do promise that you're going to get known.
And we'll give you examples of what those questions are. And they almost always, I know, come from men.
Not almost always. They always come from males.
To me. And always in my anonymous questions because you're not.
Because you're all fucking cowards. That's why.
You're not that.
Because you're all cowards. Because you're genuinely concerned about what happens if there's a face to the fucking stupid, ignorant questions that you ask, the rude, toxic questions that you ask. If I showed that to your wife, to your mom, to your girlfriend, to your daughter, would you like it? No, then shut the fuck up and stop asking questions. Here's your PSA and your fucking warning. Just because we talk about the life that we live and the things that we do and we get to have a lot of fun doesn't mean that we don't show utmost respect to each other, love and care through this process. So if you fucking think that you just get to talk shit anonymously and have your shit, we're going to air it out because this is dirty laundry airing. The clothesline goes across the top here. But fuck around and grow up.
My favorite part about the anonymous questions is I could pay to figure out who sent them.
It's $3 fucking to figure out where those come from, you absolute fuckwads of human beings. Hi. This is our podcast where we talk about real shit. We're going to open up with Hards. And Hards is existing in a world where people hide behind an anonymity to be fucking cunts of human beings. Racist, sexist, ignorant, all the things that you can possibly think of. It's fucking stupid and it's hard to deal with when you're trying to educate the world on joy and happiness and growth and healing and things that are positive in this world and getting met at the same time with all of the ugly at full force. So today, currently, in the moment, my heart is dealing with absolute cunts of human beings doing this good work.
My heart is similar but different, I think.
This isn't happy juice. This is don't kill people juice.
My heart is... Well, a common theme in my life is friends sucking. I feel like I've already done a hard on friends being the worst. But specifically in this lifestyle is how quickly it gets blamed for the conflicts. What word do I want to use? Not problems.
No, like everybody's conflict resolution blames the lifestyle. Yeah. As if there's not fucking conflicts in the life that you're living.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the piece Jill's trying to get at, is this fucking back ass words, fucking point fingers without realizing there's three pointing back at you from the same fucking space. Lifestyle is how we do life. Y'all are talking about life, and somehow the way that we do it gets blamed versus the fact that we're human beings on a planet that's full of cunts.
Yeah. And I opened up to a friend about, a friend nonetheless that is supposed to support and care and be the person you sign up to be when you decide to be somebody's friend. And that got met with, maybe you just shouldn't be a poly. And I said, this will be our last conversation about my life, because never, if one of my friends came to me, because all of my friends are monogamous. Is that a factual statement?
They're all out in the open monogamous. I bet you there's some closeted motherfuckers in there somewhere.
I had to think about that's factual. I was like, wait, hold on. But never would I meet my friends with, well, maybe you should just not be monogamous.
Maybe you should just not be you.
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about? Maybe you shouldn't be Christian. Because like people want to meet me with hate when I say that, with factual things that have caused death, dying, and suffering. But you meet me with, you can't be Christian. Well, there's no other way. There's only one true God. Fuck you. Anyway, sorry. But that's the same shit.
Yeah, and it's always hard. Like I take the risk of sharing my shit with people all the time, which is why I don't do it. Because that's always my fear. So, yeah, it was like an easy thing to an extent to just be like, I'm good then, if that's your opinion. But it's taken a while to get to the point of just being like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm very thankful for my best friend, Ashlyn, who will always, even as a monogamous
Shout out Ashlyn.
Yeah,
she's like, you don't know her, is one of the hottest gingers you've ever seen in your life, but also like the most genuine.
Maybe I'll coax her onto the pod one day.
Let's get on the pod.
But like as a monogamous human, she always meets me with curiosity and just like care, and I hear you, I see you, I get you. So it's not hard to do. Just for some people, it really is.
Most people, I think, like it's weird. It's not actually difficult. People just choose cunt first, which is whatever.
Yeah.
Joy, because that was hard. And those are tough hearts. Those are close to home, wreck your day hearts. Like this is our life. This is being not straight. This is being completely different than everybody else, it seems.
And it's hard when you finally get to a point of you're like, yeah, this is where I'm meant to be, and somebody meets you with, maybe you should just go back.
Yeah, you're happy, you're at peace, you found a lot of yourself, and somehow like an issue that everybody has still as human beings becomes it's the way you live.
Yeah.
Listen, y'all, like, nope, I won't go on the tangent because it's just fucking stupid. People give me hepatitis with their fucking shit all the time.
Yeah. What's your joy from the week? What did we do? Oh, we did a lot this week. Go ahead. You first.
I was king of a band for Kerry West, and it was easily the most fun I've ever had in my life. All weekend this weekend was Kerry West up here in Edmonton, and I got to be in one of the bands, one of the mass bands. 140 people, the biggest band that showed up, brightest colored. I got to be in a big 10-foot costume, body paint and fucking headpiece and armbands and legs and a 10-foot by 10-foot sun, moon, just huge costume. And for 5 hours through the parade on Saturday, from the time I got there at 11 a.m. in the pits where we were loading up and getting all dressed up to walking back to the car, which was like a 5-hour difference, 6-hour difference. But 5 of those hours I was moving. I was dancing, jumping, shaking, singing, screaming, blowing a whistle, moving a costume, vibing, pictures, like thousands of pictures were taken with people, let alone people that took pictures from the sides. Like what an incredible fucking 3 days it was for me, for so many reasons, for being this way. Something that I talk a lot about, and maybe I don't talk enough about, is the cultural side of my life, the things that I get to do as a black male. The life that I've lived as a black male, speaking and doing the work in my community, all through the time of being told I'm not black enough. My entire life I've not been black enough. I've been too white. I speak too good. I can't be this. I'm not thug enough. I'm whatever. And then for a long time I was too much to the other side. I was far too gangster. I was far too black. I was too hood. I was too rough around you. I was too this, too that. And I never got to experience my culture. I was never invited to. Food, sure, I can make the food. but like to be around people that love me because we share the same thing, the thing that flows through us, the blood, the skin color, the desires, the passions in life, like the way that you get to be seen and represented, and to be that for people at 33 years old, to have so many kids run up and dance and get to dance with kids and to get to share and say hi with people that might not have come out onto the road. So many people started to want to come for a picture and were too afraid, and just to break that barrier with some dance moves and some laughter, and to bring them and get them immersed, and to see the sidelines and the everything jump up and be hyped up because of our band and because of the other bands that were there in the parade. Just to be fully immersed in my culture and to share it with hundreds of thousands of people in one go was a really fucking profound and very cool and just amazing experience on the weekend. And yeah, couldn't have asked for a better first time. I'd never been to Kerry West. Like, I wasn't allowed to go as a kid. It was that bad in my life. So to for the first time I get to go and to be the king of the biggest band, to show up and show out. It was a fucking incredible time, but I just keep repeating it. I just had so much fucking fun and don't really know how to put it into full words yet. But yeah, that was my joy.
Yep. It was so fun. My joy was watching him do all of that. Mine's a twofold. I'm gonna put two in one. I love watching Ethan do his thing and seeing him in his joy. And I also got to challenge my own social anxiety that weekend. I had set up plans to have someone be there with me. Didn't work out. Very last minute. I knew it was coming, but being able to navigate, like, okay, I'm gonna have to attend an event I've never been to with people I don't know
Not
by
just
myself.
people, like a huge amount of people. It was more than I didn't know it was going to be that many people. The organizers of my band had never seen that many people out at a Kerry
Yeah.
West, and so Jill was in tough, and she did great. Like, on the road there, it was tough. Like, on the way there, realizing that she was going to be alone was hard. Walking through tears and upset with you on the way, just the things that come with social anxiety, things you can't really help.
And
But
it's
yeah,
always the debate when my social anxiety kicks in is like, do I sit it out or do I figure it out? And I was like, nah, I'm going to be sad if I go home, because the option was given. Like, you don't have to do this weekend. You don't have to be here. But I would have been real sad if I didn't get to.
and that, for the record, is not because I don't want her there. It's an in the moment sacrifice from me, an offering for her. And that's not because I want to be the hero of the situation, but because I know that in her head she's doing math on if she can be there at all. And I don't ever want people that I support that love me to have to do that kind of math. I understand that. So to say, like, you can go, babe, like, you don't have to do this. I understand. Thank you for coming and getting me here. But, like, please go home if you can't do this. This is space for you to take and have it still be healthy. You are still loved and cared for. But if you have to go, you have to go, and that's okay. It's not because I don't want her there. It's because it's another avenue in aiding her in making a decision for herself. And that's it.
And sometimes we need the option, because, like, there's many situations where my social anxiety has been there and I haven't been given the option to go. And sometimes it is like, yeah, I gotta go. I can't be here. But it actually turned out to be a fun day. I made it what I needed it to be. Figured out how to, like, navigate the day in a way that wasn't going to stress me out. And it was fun to wander by myself. I gave myself a job. I was like, I am now Ethan's personal photographer. So I, like, scootered all the way to the front of the parade, walked it all the way back to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then just kind of, like, jumped blocks. I would follow them for a bit, take some pictures, take some videos, grab a coffee, walk. I met some friends along the way. A couple people that follow me on Instagram saw me. If you ever see me out in the wild, please say hi, because I was alone for like 6 hours, and I had a couple people DM me being like, oh, I saw you, but I didn't want to bother you. Bother me with who? I was by myself. Like, what were you bothering me
And
from?
people, I think, are just so, that one kills me. So I think people are just so in their own world. Like, they don't want to be bothered. If they want to be bothered, they'd be saying it. Like,
I
but
was
they're probably saying that about you.
And, like, I was sitting on the curb alone. You weren't bothering me.
There's no one to bother. If you would have said hi, I might have hugged somebody.
Yeah.
I needed
Like,
something. A human being.
Yeah, but it turned out to be a really fun day, and just, like, a moment of, like, oh yeah, my brain's not always right. The world's not going to end just because I have to do something alone.
Mm-hmm. And let's take a caveat. As I navigate this, you'll see a little bit of smoke. And while we sort of navigate what that means on video, uh, cannabis is a huge part of my life. Plant meds of all kinds. Using look at that smoke ring. Is it going to come into the camera? It is. It's cannabis for me is mental health. Cannabis for me is how I stay off antipsychotics and antidepressants. When it gets to do creative things, a lot of the time my brain tries to do a million things at once. You can hear it in the way I talk. I've been a little bit all over the place this morning, so a little bit of cannabis will help slow me down a bit so I can process before I say something and try to host this conversation just a little bit better. So as you navigate our podcast, we will talk a ton about it. If you have questions about plant meds, weed, cannabis, psychedelics, all of the things, please also ask. We live this life and we want people to know that it's doable, and that I would rather see plant medicine take over rather than big pharma continue to win. And that's a whole other argument for another time. But if it all of a sudden gets smoky,
our house is not on fire.
It's not because her coffee's hot. It's because she's hot.
Anywho, on to the questions of the day. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with that one. I got it.
All right.
Biggest misconception about the poly lifestyle, in our opinion, was a question that we got from a friend on social media. So I'd like Jill to actually start with hers because I know what mine is.
Yeah, mine has been very apparent from day one. That this life is for you and you only. One of the first question boxes I ever put up after talking about being poly instantly got a question being like, lucky guy gets his cake and eats it too.
And like, don't get it twisted. I love eating cake.
But yeah, and like,
but it ain't that.
And the amount of questions I get, which is part of our tangent at the beginning of the episode, I assume more come to me than you because I'm far less scary.
And she's female.
And I'm a girl. But yeah, the amount of comments I get that are just like, oh, you do this life because it was Ethan's idea. He thought it was a great idea. I'm just tagging along. Like, I know that's how a lot of people see this life. Because heaven forbid I have thoughts, opinions, wants, needs,
desires,
in this
feelings,
life.
all the things.
I'm just along for the ride.
I am a great ride.
True. Yeah, I think that's my biggest pet peeve and misconception is like the females that choose to live the poly lifestyle have their reasons for doing it too. It's not just because if they are with a man, they were like, hey, this is a thing I want to do. And we're just like, okay, all figured out.
I think that a big piece of this is also in the way that we use vernacular. The way that we talk, even in the poly lifestyle. Like, people think poly, and this is my thing with it, people think poly is everything to do outside of monogamy. It's not. There's so many different things, and people's misguided, ignorant, small-minded, small worldview keeps it as putting it all into one umbrella, and that is my biggest misconception: is that poly isn't sex, and it's not about me.
Yeah, and I think that's
as much as it's absolutely and unequivocally and only about me. This is a piece that is life for everybody. It's for me. Jill's life and what she chooses to do with it is for her. We've come together to do some of that together. Polyamory is literally the love of many. I have two partners that I have never been physically intimate with, and I may never be physically intimate with, and it's beautiful the way it is. By everyone else's math, that's not a relationship, because apparently all that you get to do is fuck. So what if I fuck a lot? I mean, we fuck a lot, but like, you hear how stupid, like, you know what I mean? This is dumb.
I think it's funny when I get people's questions like that. I'll say comments like that because those aren't questions. That tells me everything I need to know about your life. Especially because I know it's coming from a man. So I'm like, tell me you hate your life, more specifically your sex life, without telling me. If that's where your brain goes as soon as you hear poly, you're like, oh, so he just gets to go and sleep with whoever he wants. Yeah, like you wish you could, but you can't because you won't have the conversation.
Yeah, and while I do have the ability to sleep with whoever I want to,
so do
and she absolutely does, I've seen it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions I think I've ever gotten about being poly, just because I know, like you said, it's been thought about.
Yeah.
It's kind of twofold, so I'll go first part, then second part. Do you ever feel left out being poly? Like the other partners have more in common than you, they bond over things more than you. I'm going to stop the question there, and then we'll
Do
do
you
the
want me to
second
answer? Or
part.
do you want to answer that one first?
Like, short answer, no.
And yes.
Yeah, like I think, was that a fear? Absolutely. It also comes from monogamy of like, oh my god, if he finds somebody else to bond over a topic that I don't give a shit about, I'm out. Or he's gonna have more fun, or whatever it may be. But yeah, short answer, no, because that's the point. And we had this conversation early on, more about like the kink side of our life, where I said right away that it felt nice to not have to want to do it all. And that can apply to like anything. But the perk of being poly and living this life is like, if there's something I don't care about, video games, because that's an easy topic, like I don't have to care about it just to make you happy. Like if that was something that you were like, I need somebody to care about this thing, you can go find somebody who cares about that thing.
And I did. I have a Brian.
Yeah. But like I don't have to sit here and be like, yeah, love video games, let me
you
pretend.
know, like it sounds so simple, and some of you might go, well, that seems basic. It's like, you would fucking think so. Get you a boyfriend that likes video games and see what the fuck happens. Because like we get this fucked up idea in monogamy that it's either, if your attention isn't directly here, that you're cheating. You aren't in the relationship. If there's every other time that you're not making her money, because let's be real, in monogamy, that's all it is. Make her money so that she can have her wedding with your money and the ring to show people that she doesn't talk to that she loves you and that you love her. How much love you can get, and beside the point. The idea is that you have to be so goddamn focused on somebody that if you ever give your attention to something else, it's over. I'm a fucking boy. I like sports. Thank God she likes sports. But I also like video games. And while I do a ton of content creation and for a long time put video games down because I needed to fucking figure some shit out because they were a little bit detrimental to my life, now they're just fucking fun. And I have a giant child in here named Brian that brought a PS5 with him. And I can play up-to-date games, and now I do that. And when that happens, sometimes she sits beside me and works. Sometimes she just absolutely fucks off. And you know who it doesn't bother? Me. Because I don't need her to give a shit, because she gives a shit by giving the space.
And there's nothing worse than being excited about something and having somebody be like, don't care. We talk about that all the time, killing somebody's joy. And I don't have to do that because I can say, cool, I'm going upstairs. Sometimes I even play an odd video game. I'm really bad at them though, so it doesn't last long. My 7-year-old
whooped her ass the other day. It was a good time.
Yeah,
but even still, well, what about when you want time with him? One sec, let me clear I need you to hear me. She asks, like, hey, are you and Brian playing video games? No, he's not even here tonight. Cool, could we watch a movie? Fuck yeah. Could we do something? Yeah. Can I have some of your time now? Yeah. Does she ever do that when I'm playing video games? She doesn't even, I never have to worry that I've upset her, even when she leaves. This is a simple topic, but like this can go with anything that you do that has this effect. Like, before I would be like, making, like, she's not mad, like, am I allowed to be having fun? Like, if I would score a goal in the game I'm playing, I wouldn't even celebrate. In other relationships,
and I can tell because when video games first came back into your life, it was always a question of, are you sure it's okay? Can I go play video games with Brian? Are you sure it's okay I go play video games with Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Did you want to do something, or can I play video games with Brian? And in my brain, I was like, why was this such a big deal? But I also know it's been a big deal, and that it is a big deal for a lot of people. Something as simple as video
Try
games.
Sports. Like, if you don't play video games, insert sports into this. How many days a week do you have practice for your team? Are you gone every weekend for foreseeable, like 6 months, 6 weeks, 8 months, 8 weeks, whatever it is? Do you take up time outside of your home to be away from your mom, family, kids, whatever the fuck it is? Then you do actually know what we're talking about. We're just using the easiest example that came to mind in video games, but this can be anything.
Well, I also think like that's it. sports are a big contention in a lot of people's relationships too. Like if your partner is really into football or hockey or whatever, and you could not give a fuck about the sport, you probably hate him for watching so much sports.
Why is it every Sunday for 5 hours he's
Yeah.
got to be? Because that's the time that he gets to be himself with his boys, with the most centered version of himself, which is the version that you love and you should be able to foster for 5 hours. But hey, who the fuck cares, right? Fuck me.
Yeah, but I think if I'm making this simple for the monogamy side, it's sports, it's video games, it's him golfing, it's him doing whatever, assuming you're in a straight relationship, which I shouldn't assume. But it's all of those activities you resent your partner for because you don't care about them. I don't have to care about them. And I know if it's important to him and I don't care, he will find somebody.
You know what I don't care about? Too hot to handle. You know what I don't care about?
And one day I will find a partner that will watch it with me. Currently, it's the boys.
Whoa. She's over here talking like I don't sit through this garbage.
We make it through like half an episode.
No, I literally have strung like 5 together with you multiple days in a row the last month. At the beginning, it took a bit. In my defense, I was also asked to be on all of these shows, so I'm a little bitter about it. But like, also, when you watch it, this is probably why I didn't make it. It's
bad.
It's bad.
And like, I know it's bad.
But like, and the joke is like, are you sure you can watch this? Like, yes, I can fucking, like, just in the background. But then like, I'll be making food and listening to the stupid on the TV and be like, I know this does nothing for me. But at the same time, it does everything because she's watching for the crap that it is. And now I'm watching it with her. And I get to talk all the shit I want because it's garbage.
And like, I also know it's bad. Like, I'm not the girl who like defends reality TV. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is shit. But like,
But then it becomes something we can bond over. I'm like, in the weirdest way. And all of a sudden now I almost kind of like it. But I don't like the show. I like that we've come to a place where it can be on, and I don't want to leave the room. I want to be around her when it's happening because it's just that dumb. Like it hits you in the ear, and you're like, this is a level that I'm losing for sure IQ points. Like I don't. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can fold my ear. I realize that that's not a normal thing for most people. I don't know why I can do that. I just can't. That I don't want it.
Yeah, but yeah, it can be any topic. Like I went for coffee a couple weeks ago, and we talked about like tarot cards and crystals, and like you're kind of into that, but like to have somebody who's like, yeah, let's talk about it. Is cool. Yeah. And not have to be like, can I tell you about this thing that I know you don't care about or know about, but I'm going to make you listen anyways. You can just find somebody who is on the same level of excitement as you.
How cool is it to have a lifestyle where that's a thing? Where, like, yeah, like you're going to find people that absolutely mix with something you love and you just met a new best friend. And you can hug that friend. You can show care and love for that friend. And like, how wild that I don't have to hold that responsibility. We'd make it work. Mm-hmm. Like she said, like we make it work. But then like I get a Brian who then unequivocally shares the joy with me. Like there's moments when Jill does sit there, like we can't help it. All of the boys listening know when you score a goal, you celebrate. Like this is why we play these games. Like this is why we make them our name and our numbers. And when we score, we score. But like when we celebrate, when we're in the playoffs, it's me and Brian hooting, and I can like look over and I see Jill like just grinning at us, no, like sharing in that like 15-second moment of boys being boys and joy, and then it's back to, well, it's just a fucking hockey game now again, and then we score again, and it's that thing. It's those moments of being able to actually share in the thing that you don't give a shit about. You can still find things to enjoy about it because your people enjoy it. What a cool space to be in, and that's one of my favorite things about this lifestyle. Weirdly enough,
yeah, and it applies to like anything. Out of the bedroom, in the bedroom, whatever. Like, there's just no pressure to be like, yeah, I'll make that work because it's a thing you want.
Yeah. Like, and so to feel like left out in polyamory would mean that you're not talking. I think is a part of this question that's we haven't really talked about, but it's like you're not communicating. Like, if you feel left out, like, let's start at the top. Jealousy as a whole. This is kind of where this comes from. The fear of being left out is not like FOMO. That's the fear of missing out. There's a difference. There's different words.
And usually with FOMO, you chose to not attend the activity.
Like it happens. Like right now, like fear of missing out is our partner Nicola when we go to do stuff because she can't be here. She's in another province. That's FOMO. That's like I wish I could be there. Fear of being left out. is a very different thing. It's a lack of connection. It is a lack of communication. It is a lack of understanding within the group or the partnership or the whatever it may be. And like we know this, the conversation we just had about video games and Too Hot to Handle, we've talked about it. After the first few times that I asked Jill, like it became like a please go play your video games when you want to. She got ahead of the problem, realizing I was going to keep asking like that. It was a conversation that we had. So that what?
I was just thinking about the first time when it wasn't downstairs yet and you guys ran the internet cord from Brian's room. Like, I wish I took it. I probably have a Snapchat of it somewhere. If you remind me, I'll post it on our Instagram. There was just like an internet cable running like a clothesline through the living room because they were playing upstairs but needed a direct line to the internet from downstairs. And Brian just walks downstairs and he goes, "Excuse me, I'm just going to run this upstairs." And I was sitting on the couch.
Like the fact that he had it, because I was upstairs still, he's like, "I got a 100-footer." And I was like, "No, you don't. Who the fuck has a 100-foot LAN cable?" He did.
In that moment, I was like, I live in a boy house. In like the best way.
Yeah, like it was
because only boys would be like, we can make this work.
Like fair, factually. And that's like, the communication of it was after that. It's like, just go be a boy, man. Like, do your thing. And I'll still like check in sometimes, like especially if we've had a tougher day, if we've had like an emotional day, or if it's just like making sure I'm getting the reassurance, like this is still a thing. There's still a piece of me that remembers the last time I didn't check in with someone else or some other setting, and it wasn't okay. So I'm gonna be.
But I also think that's just like respect to be like, we're good. Everything's handled
like,
for the day. Because then
consent continues to be consent.
Yeah, because then we can both go relax without like me sitting here being like, "Oh my god, we didn't do the thing," and you sitting there being like, "She's mad at me because we didn't do the thing."
Mm-hmm. And so like it's this idea of being left out. It still comes from that lack of maturity, self-awareness.
And I also think it comes from like not expressing what's important to you.
Well,
like,
I just said communication, but she's gonna say it nicer.
Yeah, but like I can tell that video games are important to you without you saying that direct sentence to my face. But like if your partner hasn't picked up on that, then you need to tell them like, "Hey, this is a thing that's important to me."
It helps with like, and like for whatever reason, it doesn't matter the reason, but if it gives you an hour of not using your brain, that's plenty of reason to let him, her, they, them, whoever do the thing. Like nobody's time is that important to you. Shouldn't be, anyways. And this idea of I'm being left out of a thing, of a relationship, it means that you think that your worth is in something you can do for those people or them, though. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's not how this works. You have value because you breathe. You have worth because you exist. And I, as a being that loves and cares, sees something in you that wants to add to my life with something about you. And I hope that I get to add to your life and you see something that will add to your life in me. That's the idea. You are exactly worthy. You are exactly who you are and need to be for me. That's why I'm talking to you. That's why the connection's been made. That's why we are going back and forth now. A lot of this life in polyamory and being polyamorous requires some of that really tough inner work, because you're going to come up to these moments where you feel left out again. And you don't know why you're here, even though you took a step to a completely different way of living, but you still feel, again, in that ugly spot. Well, because it wasn't the external that was causing the issue, it was something in here. And we say this and talk about this a lot. Polyamory is great and it's beautiful. And this, I will be this way. I have been this way my whole life. Now that I actually know that I am, there's nothing that will ever send me back to another way because of how I choose to love in this world. I wouldn't be able to do it and navigate jealousy and navigate these things if I hadn't done all that work up until this point in my life. Like, jealousy kills, but it's insecurity. It has nothing to do with them.
Yeah. I also think the feeling of being left out could be because you don't have enough of your own things. And I say that with like all the love, but get some of your own things. You're allowed to have your own things. You're allowed to have your things that you get really excited about that maybe your partner doesn't care about. And you're allowed to find people, friends, partners, whatever suits your lifestyle, to do those things with. But like a big reason why I don't care when he plays video games is because I can go do my own thing. Whether that be like watching the TV shows that I know he tolerates, or like scrolling TikTok or coloring or whatever. Like I
Sometimes
can,
beside me, sometimes
yeah,
not.
but like I can go do my own things and he can go do his thing and nobody takes away from either person's joy. So if you're sitting there being like, well, my partner cares about this thing and I don't, and that makes me feel left out,
Find a thing.
find something that brings you joy so that when they're doing that, you can do your own thing.
Yeah. Left out. I couldn't tell you this if I didn't know the other side of it. I would never tell you this if I didn't know the other side of it. But over here, it doesn't. The math is off because I've done the work. You can't carry the two anymore. It's actually a decimal. It's weird. I hate decimals. But it's this thing. This inner work comes into play, but also who you're doing this with. I say to Jill all the time, like, I don't know how I could have done this so freely without her. Like, I don't know how to be this person without her. And that's not because I lean on her as a crutch. It's because she holds this space so well.
One of my favorite things, Ethan's a far busier human than I am. I don't really like people that much, which I say all the time is funny that I'm poly because I don't really like people that much. But he has a lot more on the go outside of the house, usually. And I've noticed lately, and I don't think I've told you this, anytime he has plans out of the house, my brain goes like, oh my God, what do I get to do while he's gone? And it's just like, it could be cleaning the house in silence with nobody in my way. Like, I don't know what that activity is most of the time, but for my brain to be able to default to like, what do I get to do while he's gone? And it's not because I don't want you here. It's just
No,
like
it's
I
just that
have
made me
this.
smile because I'm like, oh, her brain doesn't go to where's he going? What am I going to do?
Yeah,
Do I have my own share? I was like, just like, what do I get to do now?
I'm like, I have the whole house to myself, and as an introvert, there's nothing I love more than an empty house for a couple hours. Then I get bored.
And it's funny because on the other side of that, like, she's right. I'm usually the one out. So when she goes out, someone with attachment abandonment problems like I have, like when she goes out, this very similar thing happens. I'm just like, cool. Like I get to most of the time I do nothing. Like I might clean one thing, I might start a project or something, but like I actually just like extra relax. And that's not that I don't relax when she's here. I'm very calm. But there's a point of being with yourself for a little bit. There's a point of just being able to
like you can do whatever you want in peace with no eyes on you. Like
yeah,
you
like
just
really alone time. Like instead of having to leave the room, right? Like we said, like she'll come up and be here. Like that's not alone. There's still noise. There's still us downstairs. You can still hear that, I'm sure we're making her laugh. I'm sure we're making her roll her eyes. But like there's just something when that happens and we get really singular time to ourselves, solo time, there's never been a question of like, is she coming back? There's never been a worry of what am I gonna do now? There's never been like a holy shit, what am I supposed to do with myself? There's always just like,
what do I want to do?
oh, I get to eat the snack I've been hiding.
Literally. Get a snack, sit on the couch, turn on Too Hot to Handle. Usually I take a nap.
I was gonna say, yeah, she probably naps. I'm like over here being like,
But like I nap on the couch in the living room because like nobody's walking in the front door, nobody's playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like silence in the house and I don't have to worry. And then usually I hear the door open and I'm like, wow, I'm awake. But the other part to this question was so it ended with they bond over things more than you. Possibly even during intercourse, they spend more time / effort giving them pleasure than you.
This one
is, I want to say not a you thing. It's a boundary and communication thing.
100%. Like this one actually boils down to almost nothing other than communication.
That has nothing to do with the lifestyle, with poly, with
this
whatever.
Can happen to you one-on-one all the time. Are you? This is not about the person that asked this question. This can happen one-on-one. This happens one-on-one all the time, and it's because of lack of communication. There is a unanimous, I would say, initial fear of this very thing when you get into adding people to your life and into your spicy settings. There's the monogamous thinking. There's the Christian hetero monogamous thinking of I'm going to get replaced at some point in the next hour. I'm not going to be good enough for one of these two people here. Most likely the person that I love. Oh, but I really hate love to tell you that the only way that it fails is if you 3, 4, 5, 6, however many of you there are, 2, boring. there are that didn't talk. You didn't set your boundaries, like Jill said, and we'll talk about. You didn't communicate your needs, wants, your hard limits, and you didn't create a safe setting for someone to stick their hand up in the middle and go, hey, could we do something different? Hey, I'm feeling this way, because we think that once we start, it's just physical. Do you know how much communication happens in, especially in scenes,
Yeah.
but in new spicy settings? At least for me, I'm a dominant. This is a professional thing that I do. I live this life. Yes, it might be easier for me to understand, but I had to learn it somewhere. It's constantly checking in, because there is that unanimous somewhere in here, could be quite small, some of us it's the whole being, fear of missing out, being left out, feeling less than in this moment, in one of the most vulnerable moments that you're ever going to be in, that comes down to before you start.
Well, yeah, and during.
Oh, I guess this
like,
is a video, not everybody's going to know what I just said.
But I also think it's like once you give consent, that's it. Like that can change during. And it's also a responsibility on yourself, again, with love. If you, and we've navigated this so we can speak on it, if you choose not to say anything at any point before, during, after is a little trickier because it already happened. But nonetheless, if you choose not to say anything and then come back on it, that's going to make it harder for everyone. You have to put a little bit of that responsibility on yourself to actually express your boundaries and your needs. Because if you gap a couple, or you're like, that's not that important, it's going to be important, and now it's too late.
Yeah, and that again is everybody's responsibility coming into this. Like, people think that is Jill and I against the world. It really isn't. We have a third, Nicola, and navigating that space, especially when Nicola's here, means that there's three of us that have an opinion, a feeling, needs, wants, desires that have to be talked about. As we navigate, the life that we live in the bedroom, it's a lot of conversation. It's a lot of communication, especially in the moment. We can talk about all this stuff now, but like when it comes down to it, and like we see Nicola in a month or so here, and when it comes down to it, like everything could change. When Nicola was here, I was in the middle of a start of a really fucked up episode, like a really heavy mental health episode, and all of the plans that we had changed immediately. And then we were able to share in a really beautiful and an incredible few days. But it just like, it's never going to go as planned. So you have to have a plan for when that happens. And it comes down to talking and communicating.
Yeah. And we've also navigated it early on where it didn't go great. And that's bound to happen. Like, you're navigating a lot of people, a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions,
a lot of trauma. Just a lot of life, guys.
Yeah. So it's not going to go perfectly, most likely, which is fine. But it still comes down to communicating your actual needs before it starts. Because if you choose to leave that out, you're going to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
And that sucks for everybody involved, not just the person who got their feelings hurt. But yeah, communicate, talk about it, say your needs, don't be scared to pipe up in the moment, communicate that you need to be checked in.
Sex can stop.
Without guilt, without
shame, without like, let's just like inform everybody now.
You don't just have to suck it up because you said yes 20 minutes ago.
This is allowed to stop. You are allowed to, and should always be allowed to, say no, stop. I don't want this. I need to change this. I've changed my mind. Always.
And then you can pivot or full stop or whatever.
There's been many times where scenes have become too intense, where either I've pulled, as the dominant, I've pulled, whether it's something that I got uncomfortable with or something that I could see and sense that the person I was playing with was becoming uncomfortable with. Because there's not always an ability to do the I can. So what is my responsibility? The other half of this is to know who I'm playing with, to know the signs that something has shifted in them. It's communication.
And on the other side of it, it's when you're given that opportunity, when we navigated it early on, of like, are you okay? Don't be scared to be like, no, change my mind. Some needs to change, some needs to switch, we need to stop, whatever. You can navigate it from there. But especially when you're given the opportunity to be like, yeah, I'm not okay. Say that. Yeah,
like I'm great at reading people. I'm not great at reading people, but I shouldn't have to guess. I shouldn't have to read you. If I sense something and I'm confirming, without ruining a scene, because it can happen. Like we want to test the consent without drawing out of the scene. So a quick ask, a quick, how are we doing? Mm-hmm. Good. Continue. Yes, please. Yes, sir. Whatever it may be. Any pause, any delay. Mm-mm. Head shakes. Like those are little whimpers. Like those are signs of something has shifted. So your job is to then shift. Your job is to then stop. It might be to slow down. It might be to take a moment and breathe with them and reassure them, have the small conversation. What's going on? Where are you right now? Do we need to pivot? Would you like to stop? Should we just cuddle? Do you need 5 minutes? Whatever answer is given is communication,
Mm-hmm.
which means then my job is to listen and act.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes it the safest in our life is it's never an argument. Like if I'm like, pause, please, it's never why. It's just like, cool, pause. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're navigating that and you're on the side of like checking in and somebody does say like, yeah, I need a second.
Ego gone. You don't get to check in with an ego.
Yeah, because you've now made it unsafe to be like, why do you need to stop? Be like, never
There's
mind.
no there's no need to know the why ever. I would love to know it later so that I can avoid it. We can work through, we can navigate it, sure. But in that moment, there's never why. There's never a response of questioning someone telling you the thing. Ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of boundaries. It can be really fun when done properly. And
It's pretty
sometimes,
much always fun when it's done properly. It's a holy shit good time.
yeah. And if it doesn't go as planned, then it doesn't go as planned. So what? You got
Mm-hmm.
more days left in this life.
And there's tomorrow and the next day. Lots of orgasms to be had.
Yeah, and this is a topic we love to talk about. And it's something we hope we
Mm-hmm.
get to talk about more. So if you have questions, ask them. We're still
Safe
navigating.
kink, BDSM. We'll navigate the ins and outs of social media, letting us talk about it. But I, Jill, she definitely believe that it's more education around safe kink and practicing these things that should enhance your life rather
Yeah.
than take from it.
Whether you're poly or monogamous or whatever the heck you're choosing to do with your life, everyone deserves to have a safe space to explore what you want. And we hope to help you create that in your own life. Like Ethan said, we'll figure out how to navigate what we're allowed to say out in the open, but we have some ideas. So ask away. Let us know if there's anything specific or non-specific you have questions about.
Anything you want to see on the show, hear about a show, a topic you want us to talk about, send those in too. They don't just have to be questions about us, but they can be questions about what's going on in the world, how we feel about certain things. You know, if you have, we
Ask,
really are a lifestyle podcast. We both have individual journeys as much as we have a journey together, and this is why we're here. We want to share and show that there's other ways to do life. We want you to shift your lens. We want you to build your own kaleidoscope.
yeah, and we hope this is a safe space for you to ask those big scary questions that you've been holding on to.
Mm-hmm. To gain some peace, some understanding about yourself, about your people, about life, and take your stamp, put it on it, and do it yourself.
Yeah. If you have questions, comments, concerns, you can find the podcast at Shifting the Lens Podcast. If there's ever a question that you don't want to ask publicly, that is why I will continue to put up anonymous questions and weed through the gross ones.
If you want to be on the show and you want to, come ask us a couple of questions in person in some way, maybe we video you in, maybe you actually get to sit here, maybe we change locations, whatever it be. We want to talk to you. We want to see what you want to talk about. We love having good conversations, whether you're in this lifestyle, curious about this lifestyle, curious about life. So please ask us all your questions. And we look forward to answering them genuinely.
I will say, if you want your question answered and you want to know what episode it's going in, you're going to have to be brave and either DM us or put it in a regular question box, and we will either send you the episode once it comes out or tag you in the show notes or whatever. But if we don't know who it came from, we can't tell you we answered it.
Sorry. There's a couple more questions that we'll get to. We have tons piling up here, from relationship stuff to work stuff to the gym to music. We got a couple of just generic, and I'm sure we'll get plenty more. We look forward to talking to you again. This has been Ethan with Fight Me on This.
You can find me at coachjill.april on TikTok and Instagram, and we will catch you guys next time.
Peace.